All right, we're about to go live on YouTube, everyone. It's taking a little minute. Got it. All right, we're live on YouTube, everybody. At the bottom, you can share on your several pages or whatnot. All right, we're live on YouTube, everybody. At the bottom, you can share on your several pages or whatnot. All right, we're live on YouTube, everybody. If you do not have earphones, we're going to ask that you put your computers on, mute, please. If you do not have earphones, we're going to ask that you put your computers on, mute, please. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Rivers.
Good morning, Ira. Good to see you, my friend.
Yes, sir. We're so proud. We're so happy to have you here with us this morning on our Focus Forward Civility Summit. I'm sure everyone is ready to get into this summit, to this discussion with you, Dr. Rivers. And if you would allow me to, I'd like to go ahead and first of all, let me tell you what an honor it is that you take out time of your schedule to come here and be with us. Of course, you're all over the world at any given time. So we honor you today, Dr. Rivers, for being here with us and taking time out with us on this Focus Forward book project. So thank you so much, sir, for being here and allowing us to be with you and spend this time.
Ira, anything you ask me to do, I'm in. Okay, anything.
Thank you. So I want to introduce you to the co-authors, Dr. Rivers, at this time. First, our youngest of the crew is Mr. Alexis Raekwon Green. His narrative in our book is motivation. He's a young man. He actually has a Instagram channel that's got Motivational Monday, where he tries to give a lesson to everyone every single Monday. He's been doing this almost a year now, since October.
Wow.
Next, we have Mr. Andre Hudson. His narrative is entrepreneurship. This young man has a unique gift. He works with dogs, and that's $1 billion industry. He works with service animals and helps families to have dogs in the home or with children. And so his is entrepreneurship. We have Dr. Andrea Davis. Her narrative is empowerment. It's not just for women, but she's well with families. She's a therapist. She works well with families, and she is always trying to empower people to be the best they can be. Next is Miss Abigail McNeil. Her narrative is forgiveness. This lady actually, as you would read her story, she took power from her pain and caused it to help other people with forgiveness, because she realized as an RN that when unforgiveness is present, it can cause sickness. And so she has an awesome story about that. Next, we have, as you all know, Mr. Ryan Mitchell, Youth Empowerment. I think you gave him that title already. But his, of course, he is since talking to you in London, he has launched a bigger campus for community campuses, and trying to help campus students really find their voice. And I don't know if you met this young lady before. Her name is Michelle Applewhite. Her narrative is emotional healing. This lady has overcome domestic violence, sexual abuse, and even the loss of a child at 3 years old. And so she's had to overcome and go through and focus forward. And she did that through emotional healing. Last but not least, this is my youngest son, who you've never met before. His name is Corey Hayton, and he's going to focus through creativity. This young man has a testimony of coming from one of the worst cities in America, in New Jersey, and how the Lord has really blessed him to be in the arts. And not only that, this is the young man I was talking about that is taking over the church that you told me was a good idea. He's the pastor. He's the campus pastor at the City of Refuge. And so these are all of our co-authors, Dr. Rivers. And so I'm going to give you the floor if you would like it at this time.
Wow, man, I'm honored to be with you. See, this is what we need. We need young people engaged in the relevant issues of the world. As the World Civility leader, I'm working all over the world, and I'm looking for young people with energy and ideas to actually move forward. And I want to share with you this. If you don't value what you bring to the game, nobody else will. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to actually interview each and every one so that this world will understand who you are. And if you're working with Ira Roach, you're on my team. So out of this, there will become opportunities to go and do things around the world because your voice matters. Ira, who do you want to come to the stage first?
Let's do girl boy. So first, I want to talk to let's talk to Miss Andrea. Let her go first.
Andrea, good to have you on.
Thank you.
Andrea, would you share a bit with the people about your work and what you're doing?
Well, so throughout my career, professional and personal, I've been a mental health professional, a social worker, and a certified life coach. So a lot of my work is done in homeschools and communities. I also work in ministry as an elder. So I work with a lot of people. I work with a lot of families. I specifically work with a lot of women, especially single parents. Because that has been my journey as well. I work with a lot of women that have overcome domestic violence and abuse, because that was part of my history as well. So I've just been around for a long time, just working with a lot of different populations and helping to help individuals build their voice and work towards their purpose.
Andrea, that's great. You have such a wonderful spirit, man. I know whoever hears you, they have to wake up because, and I appreciate your attitude and heart for everything you do.
Thank you.
Now, question: with the world in the state it's in now, with the pandemic, with racial tensions, how do you see your narrative moving the world to a better state?
Well, in such a place that we're in with such social unrest, I feel like people need to know that they have a voice. They need to know that their journey is worth it. That there is still hope. That they don't have to get stuck in certain areas in depression and feeling like they can't overcome certain obstacles. They have to know that there's still something inside of them that can cause them to be deliberate and intentional about pursuing their purpose and doing it on purpose, because some things we have to do on purpose. So just really trying to instill that legacy of thought in them, that power thought in them, that I can move forward despite what's going on. I can still accomplish my goals. I can still be this great person that God created me to be despite what's going on around me.
Wow, Andrea, that's powerful. Andrea, what caused you to enter into this passion? And another question, how did you overcome to get to a place to where you can help others overcome?
I've been fighting for my life since I was 2 months old. And I always say the devil's been trying to take me out of here since I was 2 months old. I was dropped on my head and I almost died. And over my lifetime, me and my sister, we dealt with a lot of experiences. I've dealt with childhood abuse. I've dealt with molestation. I've dealt with rape. I've dealt with domestic violence.
Wow.
I've dealt with a lot of trials and tribulations. And there was always something inside of me that I knew I wanted better. I knew that I could accomplish better. I knew that I needed better. So I always followed that person. I never followed the person that stayed in the depression. I never followed the person that stayed in the anxiety. I never followed the person that stayed in the history of my parents, which they were both drug addicts and alcoholics. I didn't stay in that history, and I didn't allow that history to define my destiny. So I've always just had this innate push in me, and there's nothing that I know, I just nothing that I can accomplish. And I just have that thought, and I keep that thought at the forefront. Like, I've been working on my doctorate for years, and I'm like right there at it. And people say, how can you do that? It's because I choose to persevere. I choose to be persistent. I choose to go forward despite everything that I've experienced. If I told my whole story, everybody's jaws would probably drop on the floor, but I just didn't let those things define me. I refuse to let those things define me. They're just a part of me, but they're not my total destiny. It's just history. I say this statement. I heard this statement a while back: when I'm hysterical, it's historical. There's some things in my life that I'm hysterical about. I'm hysterical about accomplishing my goals. I'm hysterical about rocking life out and rocking my purpose.
Come on now.
So that I'm hysterical about that, but everything came because of my history, and I refuse to let my history define my destiny.
My goodness, Matt, Andrea, could you tell us how your initiative is gonna help the world in the days ahead become better?
So I think about it like systems of care. When you think about systems of care, we try to create systems that help individuals and provide services on a continuum. So I think about my empowerment as a service that will equip individuals to have a continuum of care for not only their own lives, but other lives that they empower, other lives that they come into contact with. I want for this voice of empowerment to be so strong for individuals within themselves that it creates a legacy that continues on, that is on a continuum for not only their local space, but just something nationally, globally. I want people to know that, there's healing. When you start dealing with healing, I know Michelle is going to talk about that, and her story is amazing. I watch you. But healing is so important. Your journey is important. Your journey and your voice when you are going out there and you're standing in front of people, because we think of empowerment about being on a stage. We don't think about empowerment about that person that you pass on the street and they just needed to hear that word from you. I want it to be something that people infuse in their mind and they can carry out as a legacy to help other people. And I want that to be globally. So I want it to be a system that equips people, not just a voice, not just a stage, but a system of care that goes across the continuum of helping individuals throughout the next generation. Because we're going to need it. We're going to need it.
Ladies and gentlemen, around the globe, have you heard the voice of Andrea? Andrea, I personally invite you to do work in the nations with us. You have a voice that the world needs to hear, and never ever let anyone devalue your voice. Wow, you are an amazing lady. Your story, your energy, your enthusiasm. Man, I'm fired up this morning, and it's early in Cali right now. Go ahead, Ira.
Thank you again, Andrea. Next, we'll have the narrative for entrepreneurship, Mr. Andre Hudson.
Andre Hudson. Man, Andre, I follow you on Facebook.
Good morning.
Andre, man, Andre, you are so special in what you do. Man, I'm telling you, your enthusiasm, your energy for life, man, it is so powerful. Can you please explain to us what you're doing with your initiative and the work you're doing?
So right now I am currently, I'm an entrepreneur. I am a dog trainer. I actually operate my own dog training business that I've been doing for 4 years. I'm a licensed vet tech as well. And so I've just been in the animal industry majority of my life and taking care of animals, training dogs to make sure that they are well-trained pets, and even helping families that have kids or even themselves that have disabilities or special needs, to have a working animal in the home with them to assist them with all kinds of things from cerebral palsy to seizures, to being diabetic dogs, to be medical alert dogs, even to help with fibromyalgia and multiple sclerosis, things of that nature. And so that's basically what I am. So I'm just a dog trainer, a licensed vet tech. I'm also a minister at the City of Refuge Church Incorporated. And I also am a international author and international co-author of not just one, but also another book as well.
Wow, 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 wow. Andre, what motivates you, man? Because there's a lot of gas you bring to the game. What actually wakes you up every day and makes you do those great things to help others? What wakes you up?
Well, first thing that wakes me up is God, of course. But the simple fact of my dogs actually is what gets me really excited into my profession, into my career. They actually get me excited. They keep me motivated to keep me going every day in the field of work that I do. Also, my father figure also is another motivator for me as well. Dr. Roach, he's also my motivator. He's that big push and that big encourager also that reminds me of certain things that motivates me and pushes me to become the best person that Andre can be.
Andre, that's great. Andre, how is your initiative going to impact the world in the days to come? Because we're looking at we're looking at a time of transition. You know, I was speaking with some people yesterday, and I said, data right now doesn't exist because we're going to be walking in a new narrative, one that we've never seen. So how does your initiative help the future?
Well, for the entrepreneurs out there, for those business owners that have businesses right now and they're not doing as what they think they're doing, or those that are aspiring to, start and operate a business. One thing that I will say that I focus on a lot is that your current condition is not your final conclusion. The reason I say that is because where we are now during this pandemic and COVID-19 is, even though it came in at an awesome time for us to, renew our minds and to, do self-reflection and to, get an understanding of who we are and what we are supposed to reach and who we're supposed to reach. But during this time, when I say that your current condition is not your final conclusion, it means that, don't stay stuck where you are. Maintain your focus, maintain your determination, maintain your motivation, maintain that drive, because just because we're in this condition doesn't mean that we're always going to stay here and be stuck in it. And so my initiative is always to maintain my focus, to make sure I'm furthering my education in that career field that I'm doing as a business owner, making sure that I'm, staying heavily educated, making sure I'm practicing, because that's another big thing as well in the entrepreneurship field and industry, is making sure that you're practicing your niche of what you're good at and making sure that you know what your target audience is and making sure that your business is a necessity for the market. And so that's what I will say to people is, your current condition is not your final conclusion.
Wow. What, man, you have said some powerful things. And it sounds like they've come from experience, not just reading in a book. So as an entrepreneur, what would be your words for young entrepreneurs around? If you had 10 minutes to talk to young entrepreneurs, what would be the first thing you would tell them?
The first thing I would tell them is go for your dream. Honestly, go for your dream. Go for those things that you always say that you wanted to go for. Don't let nobody stop you. Don't let nobody say that you can't do it. Don't let anybody say that that business is not made for you. Don't let nobody tell you you're not going to make money. Don't let nobody to, just destroy your dreams or your goals, period. Don't worry about your naysayers. Stay focused, stay motivated, stay determined, and go for those dreams and goals that you really set your mind to.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard a young man here that will be all over the globe. This man is brilliant. Mr. Hudson, thank you so much for the
You're welcome. You're welcome.
work you're doing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Roach, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Dr. Hudson. I'm sorry, Dr. Rivers. Thank you again, Andre. He had to leave because he's actually away at a dog show right now. He just decided to join us with the summit. So next we're going to go to Pennsylvania, and we're going to go to Miss Abigail McNeil, and her narrative is forgiveness.
Wow, wow. Abigail McNeil, great to be talking to you this morning.
You as well, Dr. Rivers.
Man, Abigail, can you share with us some of your story? I mean, I'm just excited for the world to hear some of your story. And just please share some of your story.
Okay, so first of all, I'm a registered nurse, and I've been a registered nurse for over 20 years now. And one of the things that I had difficulties with was trying to figure out why is it that individuals have a hard time with being compliant with the doctor's recommendations as to how they should take care of themselves when it comes to like diabetes and heart disease and cancer and things like that. And one thing in my research I discovered is that individuals have a hard time with is letting go of past hurt and resentment, which leads them to choose ineffective coping mechanisms to be able to rid the pain. So what happens is, which I discovered is that, we tend to turn to things to try to make us feel better, whether that be alcohol, drugs, gambling, because we have issues that we can't seem to let go of. In that, I decided to put together, some things and programs to help individuals understand why they may choose some of the things that they do. And that happens because they have they have an inability to be able to let go of some things and actually be able to deal with them. So in doing that, I have created a business, and it's called Forgiving Gifts. And then that I teach individuals steps on how to heal. It's one thing to tell an individual that you have to heal. It's one thing to tell them that you have to forgive, but it's another thing to actually give them the steps to be able to do that. And so I created Steps to Healing, and I actually, in coaching and seminars, I actually teach individuals how to be able to get to that place of letting go. I also wrote a song, and it's called Forgiveness is Healing, because sometimes people is best met through music. A play as well. And then also I have a book that I have that's coming out next month, and it's called Purposeful Healing. And Purposeful Healing is about how to be purposeful. We're purposeful about a lot of things. We're purposeful about, our hair. We're purposeful about making sure that our skin looks good, but sometimes we're not purposeful about the inside. How do I get through some things? So in all that, I really just kind of just put together a whole, avenue of people just trying to help them to be able to heal and to, live in their purpose.
Wow. What kind of results have you seen in people that you've walked through this process?
Amazing results. I have a young lady that I've walked through the results, and initially she had a hard time with her parents and being able to communicate with them. And then in coaching her, it's been determined that she, they've had some things that have gone on in the past that she really didn't even know about. So I've coached her to try to really dig into the past, dig into why they made the decisions that they made, why things has happened the way that they happened. And once she did that, she really determined, okay, well, they had some issues of their own that they're dealing with. And in that, helped her to determine that, there's healing here for me, because now I have a better understanding of why they chose or why they did the things they did. Not saying that it was right, not saying that it was okay, but just helping her to understand that things happen and we all have a process to go through and get to a place of healing.
Wow. With the state of the world today, what do you see the way forward, and how will your initiative help people focus forward?
The way forward, I think, is understanding that there's healing in forgiveness. There is sometimes people think that, forgiveness is not for me. What happened was just unforgivable. But when you realize that the healing is for you and not the other person, then you have a better understanding of why it's so important for you to take the steps, to let go, to move forward so that you can live in your purpose and so that you can, do what you're born to do. We all have a purpose. And once you let go of that is when you start to live and stop existing.
Wow. You made a statement that I've never really heard. You said the healing is for you.
Right.
Is that one of the major components of what you're bringing to the table in this?
Yes, absolutely. It's healing is for you. It's not about, like, again, the other person. It's not so much about what happened, is how you respond to it. And a lot of times we are our own worst enemy because we tend to go over things over and over again. We relive them. We relive those negative events in our head, preventing ourselves from moving forward. So it's helping them to understand that healing is for you. It's all about you so that you can be able to live and to be able to do the things that you were born to do.
Wow. Well, you obviously know that you have an open door invitation to go and work the work I do around the world. You have a front seat because, and I want to tell you this, everyone that's spoken so far, the value you bring to the world, you have no idea. Trust me, I travel. I've been to over 80 nations in my life. And what I'm hearing from you on this stage is priceless. The one that have spoken thus far, will literally impact nations with the information you have. So please, man, Ms. McNeil, I would love to have you come with us into the nations of the world. And thank you for all you do. Your initiative is so necessary and so special to help the world focus forward with civility.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I would love to be a part. I look forward to it.
And trust me, I will take you up on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Dr. Roach, over to you.
Thank you again, Ms. McNeil, for what you've just given and the information on your narrative. Next, we're going to go to someone that Dr. Rivers met in London. That's our Dr. Ryan Mitchell, and he has youth empowerment.
Man, Dr. Ryan Mitchell, man, when I met you in England, I knew you had something so special. And man, I'm honored to have you on this stage. You actually qualified for this stage. Wow. Ryan, would you tell us a bit about your initiative?
Yes, it's youth empowerment, giving the millennials a voice. So many times we as young people have been told you're not good enough, you're not smart enough, you're definitely not old enough, and you're surely not wise enough. And so with that, I kind of say not true, because we do have an experience. We do have knowledge in our own right. We have all been through some things that can help people. And I believe if we as millennials just take our hand off our mouths and just say, I have something to say, and get bold and get out there and say something. So that's what my job is, as this, I'll say, liaison between the millennials and the world. We want to speak. We have something to say. And so I want to give them a stage and a platform similar to this, so they can get out there and say and tell their story and tell the world how they overcome through the word of God and through experiences.
Ryan, what put this fire in you, man? Because no. Every time I see you, you're smoking. What put this passion in you for this? I mean, have you seen the voice not be heard? What has caused you to be such an advocate for this?
I am the product of the voice not being heard. Since I was little, everyone has always said you're an old man in a young boy's body. And so I sat around people who had wisdom, and they poured that wisdom into me. And so when I wanted to share it with the world, people were told me, no, you don't have what it takes. And to be very blunt, I was not the normal young man. I didn't fit the normal mold. I didn't talk a certain way, dress a certain way, sound a certain way. And so oftentimes, even in the church world and even in the family world, I was shut up. I was told not to say anything or be quiet. It's not your turn. It's not your time. You don't have what it takes. I was told that from a very familiar person in my life. You don't have what it takes to be where you want to be. And so that often kept me very closeted in my thinking. I had small thinking. I kept my mouth like this for many years. I was ostracized even in college. And so when I finally got to a place where someone said, hey, you do have something to say. It's time for you to open your mouth and speak. And that's when I did that, the smoke started, the engine started going, and I never stopped. I never stopped.
Man, I have some international platforms we need to get you on now. I mean, I'm telling you, one of the things that I can tell you that I love about what you're doing is you're creating a platform for others. You know, if you're ever going to be successful in life, you can never do it by yourself. Right. And you know, one thing, I was talking with a prime minister of a country one time, and I asked him, I said, what's the issue of running the country? This is what he told me. He said, Dr. Rivers, he says, you have three generations in one. Yeah. And he said, you have an actual new, the middle, and the old. And he says, how do you make those work? And he said that the issue is this: the ones the one in the middle is really the key, because they're the actual liaison for each other to cross into each other's world. Yeah. And when you talk about the millennials, with everything going on in the world today, what do you think, Ryan, Dr. Ryan, is going to take to bring a change to the world?
The millennials first have to forget about themselves and can't be selfish in this season. Like you said, they have to reach across the borders and reach across the age groups and pull everyone together. They have to first reprogram their mind, reprogram their thinking from being told they can't, they shouldn't, they may be quiet and all of that kind of stuff. And as she said, forgive the word hurt, forgive being left alone, forgive being told you can't do it and all of that. Forgive all of that and then go after it. Go after the destiny that God has for you. Everyone on this earth has a purpose and has a plan. And so when they do those three things, reprogram their mind, forgive, and then go after their destiny, then they can help people around the world. Until then, they can't do anything. And so once they reach to the older generation and to the younger generation and pull them together, we can all help each other reprogram our minds, forgive, and then go after each other's destinies together.
Man, that is so that's such a phenomenal the concept that you brought, youth empowerment. Now, how does God play a role in everything you're doing right now with how to change the mind? How does God factor into that?
Well, he says in his word, in all thy ways acknowledge him and he should direct your path. You know, if we don't acknowledge him in anything we do, he won't be the center of anything. It also says, let this mind be in you, which is also in Christ Jesus. So Jesus did not just think about where he lived at. He thought about the whole world. And we have to have that same mindset. If we want to change the world, we have to have a world mindset. We can't no longer keep our minds in just where we live at and keep ourselves shut up to just this certain people. It's not a Black thing. It's not a white thing. It's a world global thing. And so when we put God as the center of it and have the mind of God, that it's just not a certain people, it's the whole thing, then we can reach them. If we keep our minds, again, like just stuck there, we'll never go any further. So he has to be the center of it and have to take on the mind of him. Then we can go through it.
That's powerful. Ryan, let me tell you, everyone that's watching, everyone that's here now, one of the most important things in the world, I'm gonna give you guys a nugget here. Never, ever sell your platform. Sell your product. Never sell the platform. Because one of the keys to the world is this: who owns the validation? Whoever creates the definition owns the narrative. Please, your initiatives, you are building platforms Never, ever wealthy people buy people's platforms. When they buy your platform, they own you and the product. And I want to encourage you, as you start this journey, some of you're not going to make a lot of money overnight, but if you bloom where you're planted, you'll grow roots and you will eat the entire field. See, what I'm doing now with Civility, I'm eating the entire globe. The entire globe needs a message of civility for all. And this is why Dr. Ira Roach, what he's doing with Focus Forward Civility and the great Raymond Harlaw. Raymond is just one of those, he's one of those guys you meet once in a lifetime. Guys like this that are allowing opportunities for you to be on stages like this. This is where you need to be. Your voices need to be heard. And if I can encourage you, Ryan, and everyone that's spoken, you build your own platform, let others walk on your stage, and you are ones that will impact this world. Ryan, one more question for you. How will your initiative move the world forward in a positive way?
So we realize that right now, everything is fastly adapting to technology. We realize that everything is not going to be in a building. Some days we have to go out online and do this. And I've watched you and Dr. Roach and others sit right on a computer and talk to nations. And so that's what we can do. You know, we want to give millennials a voice, give them a platform online. They love online. They love YouTube. They love TikTok and all these things. So make that platform for them so they can sit there and tell their story. You know, I see people do all the time vlogs and YouTube channels and all that. This is their time to go on there, build an app, you know, like I want to do, build an app so they can go on the app and talk to the world. And that's what I want to do. We're talking before, me and you and Dr. Roach, about this app that we want to create for the Bible college. That's wonderful, but also build another part where they can get on and tell their testimonies of how they overcome. There it is, technology. That's their platform.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, you just heard one of the great voices of the future, Dr. Ryan T. Mitchell. Thank you, my friend, for being on with us today. Over to you, Ira.
Thank you again, Mr. Mitchell. I would like to just take the time and say thank you to Dr. Raymond Harlaw. I haven't said it to him yet. I know he's not on here with us, but this would not be possible if it were not for him. So I want to just have a shout out to Dr. Raymond Harlaw, and everybody just clap for him. I know he's
a great man.
Thank you.
A great man.
Awesome man.
Great.
Next we have Miss Michelle Applewhite with Emotional Healing. That's her narrative.
Wow. Michelle Applewhite, I'm honored to have you on.
Thank you.
Please, how did you come up with this? And please share your story of what you've been through that's got you to the point to where you're doing this initiative to impact the globe.
All right. Thank you for the platform. Lord, I've got so many stories that have gotten me to this point. But I would say having cancer 4 times, I've been through 12 chemo, 7 radiation, 2 operations. My son was murdered at the age of 3 years old. I've been molested. I've been raped by family members. I could go on and on and on, but let me back up concerning the death of my son. I'm a preacher's kid. And so when I went to church, the older ladies, they believed in God, they believed in the scriptures, they were like, let the dead bury the dead. And, you shouldn't talk about it. You shouldn't cry about it. Don't let the enemy know that he got you. The old church mothers, and they meant well. So I went through the majority of my life just thinking that if I cried about it or if I talked about it, then I wouldn't be in alignment with the Lord, so I didn't know how to share my emotions. And so with that being said, I went through my life dealing with bitterness, unforgiveness, rage, and hatred. I hated church people. Like I hated people who had little boys and all that kind of stuff. So I had no idea of how to deal with these emotions that were going on the inside of me. So I became an alcoholic. I became a bully, started beating people up. I mean, you name it, I did it. I slept in my car because of
Wow.
pride, because I didn't want people to know that I was going through, and I just didn't want people to know that I was having an emotional struggle. Eventually, there's a scripture in the Bible, it's Proverbs 18:21, and it said it's life and death in the power of the tongue. And so that's when I realized that I can look in the mirror and I can speak to myself and say, I am an overcomer. I can look in the mirror and say that I survived the hit. I can look in the mirror and say that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Listen, I was that one who felt like they were the black sheep of the family. I was the one who felt like an underdog. I was the one who was in special education. You know what I mean? So I had to use my own voice and of course the power of God to uplift myself out of situations and pull myself up and say, hey, I can make it. I'm a survivor. My voice matters. Someone's going to listen to what I have to say. So that's where I'm at right now.
Wow, wow, amazing. Wow. Man, Michelle, as you look at the world today, what's the answer? What's the answer to the issues going on now in the world?
The answers is, I think, believing in the God that you serve. I'm believing that you are more than a conqueror. You know what I mean? Believing that God has already placed on in the side of you everything that you need. And so you have to know that you can do it. Believe in yourself. You know what I mean? Like God has already given us, and I'm not trying to be spiritual, but God has already
Oh,
given
no, it's
us the
okay. Go ahead,
tools of
girl.
like like God has already given us the tools of everything that we need when he created us. I may not be as quick as the next person, I may not be as good as the next person, but there's something on the inside of me that God has already equipped
Wow.
me with. And so I believe until we believe in the maker, the person who made us, then that will push us forward.
Man, man, Michelle, come on, girl. You're doing it, man. I love this. Uh, tell me, how do you see your initiative impacting the world today?
Listen, okay, so I am a show host coach virtual, and I have a show called Keep It 100. I have a show called Girls Talk. I have a show called The Real Talk, and I have a show called The Worshipers Lounge. I say all that to say is that I grabbed my voice, right? And when I grabbed my voice, I realized that I could give others a voice. So I believe in just setting a platform, allowing people to have allowing people to step on that platform and sharing the things that they've been through emotionally. Because listen, it's not just one person or two people, it's like a nation that is waiting of your story, that's waiting to hear what you survived, that will motivate them, that will push them forward. So I really believe that mine is to motivate people and to encourage people, to remind them that you are a designer's original, and what you have, there's a nation that's waiting to hear. Yeah.
Man, Michelle, girl, way to go, man, Michelle. Man, this, Michelle, you're and you know what? The one thing that I know about you is you're non-religious and you love God.
Exactly.
And see, I can hear that you talk to people on real levels that's not religious.
Right.
How do you see God? How do you see God impacting the world to apart from religion?
Um, I see God moving us back, right? And allowing us to dig in our own self, our own emotions, right? If you feel like crying, it's okay. If you feel like kicking a wall, it's okay. I believe that God is wanting us to believe in us, to know who we are, and then share that abroad. It's nothing really spiritual about that. It's just knowing who you are and believing in who you are.
Man, Michelle, let me tell you, people watch anything she produces, watch, because there's you're an amazing lady, and Michelle, we'll have your voice on other platforms. And thank you today for helping us focus forward. You are a remarkable person. Thank you.
Wow. Thank
Dr.
you
Roach,
again.
over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Michelle. We have two more, Dr. Rivers. Next is the youngest of the crew. This young man, as we said, he's in college. Mr. Alexis Raycon Green, and he's our motivation. His narrative is motivation.
Mr. Green, honored to have you, my friend. Mr. Green, can you hear me?
He has to unmute.
Okay. Mr. Green, are you there?
He's still muted.
Okay.
Unmute your microphone. There you go.
Yep. Sorry about that.
Man, Mr. Green, when I see young men like you, man, it inspires me, man. Thank you for your vision to motivate the world. What got you started in motivational work?
I would just say about 2 years ago, I always been this college athlete, just being this leader, but I never really spoken out my mouth. Like I never ever really spoken out my mouth that I was a leader and that my story matters and just empowering other people. I was at a point in my life where I was playing football at college and I just, I got hurt. I had 2 surgeries in the span of 1 year. And, I'm like, what is this, God? What is happening? Like, what are you trying to tell me? And just from that, a lot of things came up. The Motivational Monday series I have on Instagram, basically I empower people to be motivated through God, be motivated through just what they already have inside of them.
Man, I'm telling you, man, just watching you makes my heart smile, man. I'm telling you, I've been to like 80 nations in my life, and to hear a young man motivating like you is priceless. You're the world needs to hear you, man. I mean, you have something very special. Looking at the world today, looking at the like, it's just negativity all around. What would be your message to help motivate people today with the virus, with the racial tensions? What would be your message to the world today?
I would definitely say be different. We're going through a time where a lot of people are trying to be the same, are trying to be an athlete, an NFL, NBA player, like I feel as though what I'm doing right now is very different and not scared to be yourself, because when you want to be in the crowd, you can never stand out. So what I mean by that is the more you try to focus on being yourself and how you can impact other people is when your light's going to shine the brightest.
Boy, that's true, man. And Mr. Green, how does your initiative, how do you impact the world with what you're doing now? How do you see that making a difference?
I definitely say just changing my mindset through motivation, obviously is my chapter. Me being 20 years old, I have talked to people who are 30, 40, and like I had people tell me that they watched on my videos and they have cried. And I'm saying this because the more that I realize that, you have all you need inside of you right now. You have everything you need inside of you. And just realizing that, you are a part, you're different, and realizing that every time like you open your mouth, you have meaning. And the more that I realized that, during this quarantine, especially people my age, it's a lot of uncertainty. Like it's a lot of people don't know which way to go. And it's like, every time I post something, every time I just speak, I can impact somebody and empower them in a way. Is that like this kid's 20 years old, he's talking about God, he's talking about motivation. It's like, wow, I never seen this on this level. And like just going the opposite direction of everybody's doing. Everybody else is want to have parties. Everybody else is wanting just to live life, just do whatever they want to do. And I'm just here, just very trying to be disciplined and just do what God has taught me to do.
Man, and what I hear in you is you aren't ashamed of your faith.
Nah.
You know, back in the day, I was a college basketball player, and I knew God, but I wouldn't, I wasn't sharing like you, man. So what gives you that confidence to be able to speak about your God at this young age with all of the pressure not to speak about God?
Just looking at the world, just seeing how much, you know, I told you like 2 years ago, just going through what I went through, like just going through, like I went through depression, just not liking myself, not liking my life at a certain point. And, you know, I just took refuge under God, and then like he given me so much over the span of like a year. And it's like, you know, if you knew me 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, it's like I'm a totally different man. And it's like, you know, the more that people see the evidence of how much I changed, and see the evidence of how much I actually care about people, it really motivates and empowers them, you know, to keep going and to do better.
Man, you're priceless, man. And hey, I endorse you. If anybody asks if you're endorsed by anyone, tell them Sir Clyde Rivers, the World Civility leader, endorses your stuff. Man, Mr. Green, thank you so much. And I'll get a hold of Dr. Roach so we can get a hold of you again. I have several international platforms I want to bring all these people on. So thank you, Mr. Green. You're a legend in the making. Stay focused.
Wow.
Thank you, the honor.
Wow. Thank you, Mr. Green. Last but not least, Dr. Rivers is Pastor Corey Hayton. His initiative is creativity.
Pastor Corey, man, always great to have a man of God that's talking creativity.
Dr. Rivers, I'm honored.
Corey, man, I'm telling you, man, man, just that your God is with you, man, and you know what? I want to encourage you, man. Your what you're doing, we need in the world. I mean, how did creativity become such an important part of who you are?
I feel like creativity has saved my life. I grew up in a poverty-stricken area where there weren't a lot of outlets, except for the negative ones. It was easier to join a gang than it was to find out something like what your gift is or what your skills are going to be, or how you're going to be able to find a job. It was easier to find something negative to get involved in. So creativity was something that I believe creativity is created by pain and passion. And when those come together, you can do anything.
Wait. You said pain and passion?
Pain and passion.
Man, please talk to us about that for a minute. Please talk to us about how pain and how pain and passion make things happen.
Yeah. Pain and passion is almost creating a fire, because what you have to understand is God is looking at man's heart and not his appearance. And what's inside your heart is always going to be the why of your story. What's the why behind your story? And sometimes you have to go through pain to get to that place of discovery. Sometimes you have to get to that place to understand your passion. And when you understand your passion, then you understand your burden. And when you understand your burden, you understand your calling. And your calling is whatever is painful to you, whatever is painful to you. It could be homeless people on the street. If that makes you feel pain, that's your calling. That's your burden.
Man, Dr. Roach, where'd you find him, man? Man, I'm telling you, man, I'm feeling your heartbeat on this. How do you see how does your initiative impact the world today? When watch this here, I'm going to give you a stat. 93% of the people in the world don't have access to higher education. Only 7% of the world. How do you see the other 93% impacting this world?
Wow. These are the people that have lost hope because of their mistakes, and they have lost hope and faith in themselves and faith in their future because of the things that they've been through, their mistakes, their past, and even their environment, which is something that they were born into, but for somehow they think they are a failure because of it. So they don't choose to find any success in it. So I believe that there is an initiative to seek those people. And my goal is I want to see funding in more programs. I want to see more after school programs being built for youth so that they can understand that they have a voice, they have gifts. Even if they never go to college, you can still educate yourself. You can still be in a higher education realm if you allow yourself to be.
Man, Corey, I have a question for you. What will be your legacy in this world? When it's all said and done, what are people gonna know Corey for?
I want the people around my age group, I want their minds and I want their hearts to be touched by my story. I want their hearts to be touched. I want them to understand who they are. Because like I said, a lot of people are walking around, they're really beating themselves up. I was that type of person. I beat myself up about a lot of things. So I want people to remember me by what inspired them as far as my story goes, from how I came from nothing and how I'm trying to become something. And the aspect of creativity doesn't have to necessarily be anything as far as the arts goes, because the analytical people matter too. You can even think about the minds that all came together to create the smartphone. That took artistic people, that took analytical people. You have to step into the unknown. You have to step into the unfamiliar in order to be great. So I'm following that for you.
Man, man, I'm telling you, man, I'm moved. I mean, this is having you in this book. Your actual mind is a new mind. It's a new mind, and I'm gonna have you on actually one of our shows coming up soon. You're giving hope, man. I'm telling you, Dr. Roach and the people you bought in this book, we will get this book all over the world. Corey, you are truly. And what I want to say is this: never let ministry get in the way of your mission. Never let ministry get in the way of your mission. Let me kind of explain. My mission, I'm doing ministry for God all over the world now. And I'm doing it from a platform that I didn't think was God at first. And now I realize that God, I was personally mentored by Dr. Miles Monroe was one of my personal mentors. And I learned when you're operating the kingdom, it's a different narrative.
Yeah.
It's to impact 7.8 billion people in the world. And man, thank you for being the leader with the mind you have. It's brilliant. Your mind is a God mind. And man, please never withhold that currency from the world. You're truly a great leader. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you.
Over to you, Dr. Roach.
Well, Dr. Rivers, that is all the people for today. We do have some other.
Goodness.
That's all the people for today.
Dr. Roach, let me just say this, man. The people are in this book. I'm blown away today. I didn't know that they were this impactful. Let's do this again. And what I'm going to do, I'll put together a new, a different stage, and I would love to have these people come back on various international stages that we have. And I have some stages all over the world, and these are people the world needs to hear. And Dr. Roach, I thank you. And Dr. Raymond Harlaw, man, thank you for being who you are to this world. And everyone, thank you so much. I have to head to another show now. But man, thank you, Dr. Roach. Thank you all.
We honor you, Dr. Rivers. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Fantastic. My goodness.
So everybody still on? So I want everybody to give yourself a hand clap. Give yourself a hand clap.
You want to still be on live?
No, we're off live.
Okay.
Let's see. Hold on. We're gonna go off live, and I want everybody to get back on. I'll send you the link and get back on the link so we can talk real quick, okay?
Mhm.